All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the digital economy. We're talking about the invisible systems that have totally rewired how we live and work by shifting everything from physical stuff to pure information. But first, let me ask you something. Think about the last movie you bought online. You click the button, your card was charged, but what did you actually get? I mean, is it a file, a license to stream it, or is it just, temporary access? That one simple question really gets to the heart of how weird and complex our digital world has become.
To even begin to answer that, we have to get our heads around this huge fundamental shift in what we even consider valuable. We've literally gone from an economy built on atoms to one that's now built on bits.
So, in the old world, value was all about tangible goods. Stuff you could touch, hold, and physically move around. A car is the perfect example, right? It's made of actual steel and plastic. It has to be put on a truck and shipped to a dealership. It's pure atoms. Okay, now compare that to an intangible good. Its value has nothing to do with a physical object. It's all in the data it represents. That movie stream or that music file, it's just information delivered to you instantly over the internet. It's all bits. And just look at the scale of this thing. It's not some small trend. A mind-blowing 70% of the value in advanced economies now comes from these intangible digital goods and services. That's a full-blown economic revolution that's happened right under our noses. So, if the very idea of value has changed, how do companies actually create it now? Well, to figure that out, we need to pop the hood and look at the engine inside every business, which is something called the value chain. At its core, any business, and I mean any business, can be understood through its value chain. You can think of it like a blueprint. It shows how a company takes raw materials or just an idea and, step by step, adds value to create something that you, the customer, are actually willing to pay for.
The real core of this engine has 5 main parts. First up, you've got inbound logistics. That's just getting all the parts and materials in the door. Then comes operations, where you actually build the thing. After that, outbound logistics, which is shipping the finished product out. Fourth is marketing and sales, gotta let people know it exists. And finally, there's service, which is all the support you get after you've bought it.
And propping all of that up are the supporting activities. We're talking about things like HR, tech development, and the basic company infrastructure. You don't see them directly as a customer, but believe me, without them, that whole machine would just grind to a halt. Okay, now here's where things get really interesting. The internet didn't just make that old value chain a little more efficient. No way. It basically took a sledgehammer to it, smashed it into pieces, and completely rewired the entire marketplace from the ground up. Just think about how we used to buy things. A product would go from the factory to a wholesaler, then to a retail store, and only then, finally to you. Every single one of those steps added costs and took time. It was a long, slow, winding road. Then came this thing called disintermediation. It's a fancy word, I know, but it stands for a simple, absolutely revolutionary idea: cutting out the middleman. For the first time ever, the web allowed producers to connect with and sell directly to their customers on a massive scale. And this shows you exactly what happened. That long, winding road suddenly became a direct highway. It was a total game changer. The promise was lower prices for us and, of course, higher profits for the producers. But the story doesn't end there, because what happened next was something called re-intermediation. The old middlemen were gone, sure, but brand new, powerful digital middlemen popped up to take their place. Think about platforms like Amazon, eBay, or the App Store. They became the new bridges, but they also became the new gatekeepers, setting the rules of the game in their own digital marketplaces. So this complete rewiring of the marketplace, with all its new digital gatekeepers, is what paved the way for all the different kinds of e-commerce that we see absolutely everywhere today. Generally, e-commerce comes in 3 main flavors. The one we all know is B2C, or business to consumer. That's you buying something from a site like Amazon. Then there's B2B, business to business, which is where companies sell stuff to each other. And finally, you've got C2C, consumer to consumer, on platforms like eBay, where it's just regular people selling to each other. And if you want to see just how massive this B2C explosion has been, just look at Amazon's sales. From its early days back in '97 to a decade later, and then to today, wow. That growth isn't a line, it's a sheer cliff face. This is what it looks like visually when a digital marketplace completely upends an economy. But here's the thing.
These digital networks didn't just rewire the way we buy and sell goods, they also rewired the marketplace of ideas and relationships. And in doing so, they fundamentally changed how we connect as a society.
You know, the poet John Donne wrote that centuries ago, but it perfectly captures this deep human truth. We are social creatures. We're meant to exist within networks, both economic ones and personal ones.
And there's actually a term for the value we get from these personal networks. It's called social capital. It's the real, tangible benefit, the support, the information, the opportunities that comes from all the trust and goodwill built up within our communities.
Just think about your own social network for a second. It's made up of what we call strong links, your close friends, your family, the people you talk to all the time. But it's also made of weak links, acquaintances, old colleagues you barely talk to. And here's the kicker. Both are absolutely crucial. Your strong links give you deep support, but it's often your weak links that bring you brand new information and opportunities.
And that brings us to one final and I think really critical question. We have built an entire economy, an entire society on these digital networks. But in a world that is so completely dependent on connection, what happens to the people who are being left behind? Because digital exclusion isn't just an inconvenience anymore. It is a fundamental barrier to being able to participate in modern life.